You're welcome to another episode of Greatman Ayilara Teaching, a deep insight towards spirituality. Please ensure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and turn on the notification button. Hello, everybody, and welcome. I welcome you from all across the globe to this channel. And I'm very excited that you could be patient enough to join me. I had a little bit of network issue earlier, and this way because a lot of people were writing me already, telling me you want to start your own religion. Why are you trying to dress like a mystic person? To the kind of dress you put on? Why are you putting on that muffler? Why are you putting on a white garment? And all of those things. And I was tired of telling them that it is just a normal cloth to my bones and my very ugly flesh. It is nothing more than that. I don't know why people put so much importance on the vain things of this world more than the content that you have to offer. Today, we are talking about a very, very important and very special topic. It is called the etymology of first fruits. The etymology of first fruits. We're taking a trip from Egypt to Jews, to Jewish nation, which is Israel, to other part of the world, and also we're coming back to Africa today. Don't forget that we are trying our best to trace our step back to spirituality. And this is one of the way that we can gain spiritual insight when we know what they do, why they do, what they do. We'll be able to harness the knowledge in it to be able to make it useful for ourselves. Before we go on, I would like to show you a certain slide that together we can follow the teaching today. All right, so this is the slide that we are going to be using. I don't know if you can see it very well from that place. All right, so I want to lay foundation as gentle as possible. I want to lay foundation on what the first fruit means, and I want you to follow me just gently. I won't take much of your time today, and I'm going to get off your way. And permit me to look at the screen the way you are looking at it also. So we're taking this journey or this trip from Egypt to the rest part of the world. But first, there are some key players that you need to know about when it comes to first fruit and what it entails. Now, this particular god is an Egyptian god. His name is called Amun-Ra. Amun-Ra. Usually, if you want to really divide this can be pronounced as Amun, Amun. And then this Ra is the sun god. This Ra is the sun god. So because he is seen as the hidden one, the overall God in all of Egypt. So he encompasses all the other symbols of other gods. So you can see the sun here, which represents the Ra. You can see the God himself, and you can see him on a canoe. This is an Egyptian canoe, and you just cannot see it very well, but there is a particular ocean, a particular river that is actually driving paddling the ocean across. This is the Nile River, the river Nile. And this particular god has this symbol on his head. This is the sun itself. We don't want to go into that detail. He has the eye of Orisis or Horus in his part of compartmental. And then he's holding a certain symbol here that I want you to pay a good attention to. This particular symbol here that you see here, I will explain the meaning of this particular symbol to you very soon. But then this is Amun-Ra, the overall God. He is the hidden God. And to you or to other part of the world, he is seen or being worshipped as the Almighty God because he is the God of all other gods. He is unseen, yet he controls the affair of life. You can see the water is here, the canoe is here, the moon is here, and he has all the component of all the gods with him. Now we move on to the next key player in this particular broadcast today. This one is called Amunet, or you can just call her Mut. She is the mother goddess, like the wife of Amun-Ra. Now, she's also an unseen god somewhere No, according to Egyptology, she's also an unseen god, but she is a of the Upper Egypt and the Lower Egypt. Now, you must know that the whole of Egypt before wasn't unified. We have the Upper Egypt and we have the Lower Egypt. The means of identifying them as higher, upper, or lower is the availability of River Nile to each and every one of us. Each and every one of them. There was a part that was full of desert, and there was a part that is full of water. So this mother goddess is actually putting on two crowns, and these two crowns is representing both the crown of the Upper Egypt and the crown of the Lower Egypt. So this particular god also, the goddess, is also holding that same kind of symbol in her hand, which is this particular symbol. Now, this I really want to explain what this symbol means to you. This symbol is called Ankh. This symbol is called Ankh. And then in Egypt, it is referred to as the symbol of life. It is referred to as the symbol of life. But then you must have seen this symbol before, and it sure looks like the cross where Yeshua was actually nailed, right? If you put the head of a person here, so you can really figure out that, okay, let's say his hand is here, his hand is here, his leg is here, and this is his head. So this particular symbol, all of these gods always have it, holding it in their hands. You can see that Amon-Ra is also holding it. It doesn't matter how you spell it, just pronounce it the way you want to pronounce it. It's also holding this particular ankh in his hand, and also the other god also, which is the mother goddess, is also holding this particular stuff. Now, this is a very occultic symbol. This is a very occultic symbol, and it belongs to a certain cult in Egypt. And unfortunately, the Greek folks and the Roman folks knew about this symbol. And because they wanted to be an idol worshiper or a pagan at all costs, under the pretext of saying this is Christianity or this is Jesus, they presented this particular symbol to you as a sign of the crucifix. Now, all the while you have been making the sign of the crucifix, sometimes some of you put it on as a pendant, sometimes some of you even bow to it. Now, Yeshua was not nailed to a cross, he was hung on a tree. Now, in the olden day Hebrew, criminals, thieves, those who are damned to die shamefully are hung on a tree. They are not nailed to the cross, they are hung on a tree. So Yeshua was killed like a criminal because the essence of his life was a disturbance to the Roman government of the day. Now you must understand that he was not killed for you to sin so that you can bear your sin. The essence of his killing is not to die for your sin. It was a political figure. It was disturbing the peace of the country. Just like we have a man here in Nigeria called Shore, who was like becoming a terror to the present day government, and the way he was captured and all of that. If there was no noise about it, maybe he would have been killed. That was exactly what Jesus was doing. Jesus was well read. Do not forget that in Jesus' day, he took a lot of travel. At a point in time, he spent some of his lifetime in Egypt here before he went back. And the moment they got back, his father, Joseph, sent him to Nelada in around the province of India to go and learn. That was for like the 18 years of his life before he reappeared in Galilee or Jerusalem or whatever you call it. Now, Jesus was well read. He knew all of these things because he was exposed to education. He spoke over 4 languages, and he knows what he was doing. And there could be a misrepresentation of the particular age that he was debating with the professor in the synagogue. It was not that literate, it was much or way older. The reason why he couldn't start his ministry on time was because if you are not yet of the age of 30 in the medieval Hebrew world, you are not seen as a leader, or you are not yet seen as a mature person. So at the age of 30, he looked for the closest school of thought to what he was believing in, and then he amalgamated himself with John, and he started. So that time he needed to baptize or get matriculated, tell the whole world that, okay, I am also starting my own radio. I identify with the ministry of John. He was preaching almost the same way that John was preaching. Sometimes you will see the temperament of John in him. Sometimes you will see him come like a dove. But they were saying the same thing about the kingdom of heaven in the heart of people, manifesting it here on earth. And you know, when they asked John the Baptist that, okay, how do we get to this kingdom of heaven that you are talking about? It wasn't pointing them to heaven or something afterlife. It told them that if you have food, you share with your friend. If you have clothing, you should share. The same exact gospel that Yeshua was telling people, because he learned about the concept of love during his sojourn all across. He was like a monk, and he lived his life looking for information, which he came back to his people to come and divulge for them. But in the process of the whole thing, the Roman people needed you to serve idol, become pagan at all costs under the pretext of this and that, and they gave you this particular symbol for you to worship and bow down to. So that would be an information for someone right there. But then another key figure that we want to take a look at today is this particular king called the King of the Living, or we can call him the King of Kings, which is Osiris. Which is Osiris. I don't know if I get that pronunciation correctly, but this is known as the King of Kings. Now, this king from your screen, you could see is green in color. Anywhere you see Osiris, you will see that his color is being painted as green. Now, there's a reason for that. He is seen as the one who gave Nile River his life to flow, his life to flow. So, oftentimes, he is worshipped as the river of life. He is worshipped as the giver of life, is worshipped as the bread of life, because from the produce of what the river Nile is watering, people are able to make bread, able to make this. So he referred to himself as the giver of life, the bread of life, and the water of life. He is a symbol of life to the people. That's why they always color it green. Now he's seen or worshipped as the king of the living or the king of kings. Now there is a lot of argument here and there that it could be this man or this particular king that was presented to people as Yeshua Amasiah. That it could be this particular king. That particular one argument or whatever is not to be dealt with today. We will talk about this some other time. I don't want to be the one who upset you. And today's teaching is not to destroy your belief, either you are a Christian, whatever it is, but I'm trying to give you some real foundation on what we want to do today. Do not forget that we are taking a trip and a journey towards spirituality, and we want to really find out. One of the essence of spirituality is to find out the truth and hold on to the one that you have asserted all the while. So we have three players here. We have the Amon Ra, which is the god of all that people worship, and he's holding that particular hank in his hand, which is the symbol of life that connects everybody together. We have the Amunet, which is also Mut, which is the mother goddess, and all that. There are all other gods that could be represented fully or can be seen. The activity could be seen really in the Christian religion, which I will be exposing you to later. But this is Osiris, which is the king of the living, and is colored green for a reason. That's the way they represent it. Now, we're talking about the etymology of first fruit. Now, when they say something is etymology, we are talking about the origin of first fruit. Now, forget that all these people existed almost 301 years before Jesus Christ came. So Egypt was seen as a center of civilization and even the World Trade Center in those times. So because they have alphabet already, while people are still trying to struggle with things, they have symbol that they use to represent the words they say. They have the taxation system. They have the treasury system. They have the senate. They have everything that civilization could have. So it was only normal for every other nation who want to be a nation to go to Egypt to go and learn about how to really build a good nation. Now, you must know that something happened. But before we get to what happened, let me quickly tell you the Egyptian order of first fruit before I tell you what happened with Moses. The Egyptian of first fruit goes like this. Now, you must know that the Egyptians were the first who started this doctrine of first fruit, to pay first fruit to this, to pay first fruit to that, and all of that. And the remnant or the adulterated practice of first fruit is still with us today. even without the church system. Now, this is the order of things. Now, these are the people of Egypt. This is a female, this is a male. You might not see very well. This is a female, this is a male. These are gift offering that they brought to this particular Orisis. Remember the God that I said is the King of Kings or the King of the living, who gave water, who gave life, who is seen as the river of life, and all of those. The one who owns River Nile. Now I can see very well here. You might not see because of the reflection. It's still colored green. Is seated on his throne. And what the people of Egypt came to do is to bring the very first produce of their land to Orisis. Now, what will Orisis do with this? He will collect it. Some part of it will remain in his palace. He will send the rest to the priest that worship in the temple, though he is the one who collected it, like an high priest to them. Is the one who took it because they believe he's the one who gave them that particular fertility and increase and harvest. So they gave him some part of their first fruit, some part of their first fruit. First fruit has never been whole of your salary, whole of your produce, because if a king or someone is taking everything that you own for the first year, what is he expecting you to eat for the rest of the month or the rest of your life? There will be a lot of chaos in the society. So some part of the first fruit, but the very first or the very best of it, they bring it to Orisis. And what Orisis does is to do what that's not supposed to happen. Okay. What Orisis will do is to now transfer it. This Orisis has collected it. Orisis will now transfer it to who? To both Amun-Ra and Amunet. He will transfer it to both Amun-Ra and Amunet. These are the unseen gods, male and female gods of the Egyptian order. Now, what he does is to send it to the temple, and from the temple, under his name, it is being offered to both Amun-Ra and Amunet. Now, what will Amun-Ra and Amunet do to people? They will together now give their blessing to Orisis. Orisis in form of the word of mouth. And Orisis will do what? Orisis will now come, call people together and bless them. Now you can see the arrow is coming back now. Now now let me do it again. From the people to Orisis, from Orisis to both Amun-Ra and Amotep, both Amun-Ra and Amotep, as a sign of, okay, you guys did well today, will now give blessing to Orisis to keep producing for them, to keep flowing as a river, to keep giving them river of life and all that. And Orisis in another way will now go back and now give a turn back to the people. So it is all a communal practice in the um, olden Egyptian. That was the very first place where the matter of first fruit was first practiced. Now, do not forget that at a point in the life of Moses, a leader of the Jewish people, he lived with these people. He was raised as one of them. As a matter of fact, there's a part of the scripture in the book of Acts of Apostles, I think chapter 22 or so, says that Moses was taught with all the wisdom of the Egyptians. What that means is that he was educated in all the ways of the Egyptian. And it is only normal for some of the things that Moses has learned from Egypt to creep over to the way he's going to formulate a nation. He never had the experience of formulating a nation except the one that he got from Egypt. Now, Moses wanted to start his own order of first fruit in order to keep money in the treasury of the Israelite nation. He used different means, both first fruit and also tithe, both first fruit and also tithe, and several other offering kind of thing. Now, the original alternative of tithe was tax. It was tax that they take in Egypt, and it is mandatory. If you don't do it, you face the wrath of the law. Moses wanted to make it voluntary to people so that it doesn't become burdensome to them. He called it tithe, and he told them it's going to be 1/10 of your income. Now, in Egypt, your tax is calculated according to what you earn. According to what you earn. But because this thing is now becoming voluntary, Moses said 1/10 of your your whatever it is that you have should come to the treasury, so that what will happen, the people who are serving at the altar can have a little to eat, and then they will give the rest to the widow, to the orphans, and to the strangers that come to your land. It is not meant to be the property of the Levites. As a matter of fact, when the Levites were not paying their own tithe back, that was what made the God of the Bible got angry with them through the prophet Malachi, and told them this. It was the Levite that the God of the Bible was talking to in that area of Malachi chapter 3, verse whatever you call it. So this is the Moses order, the Mosaic order of the first fruit. Now, the very first people here are the people of Israel, the Jewish people. These are the people. Now, what will the people do when they get whatever it is that comes from their ground? What they have to do is the first thing that they lay their hands on. As a matter of fact, if you have a plantation of rice, the very first sheaf of your rice, you just gather it together. Not all of them. So you do what? You bring it to the priest. The very first that you can reap. What it means by first fruit is not everything that you get in harvest. It is the very first thing that you lay your hands on. So you bring it to the priest. You can go to the book of Leviticus to read all of this. That is an assignment for you. You bring it to the priest. When you bring this to the priest will wave it as a waving offering, then burn some part of it. And otherwise, you believe that the priest has given it to God. Now, don't forget that everything is still from people to God, from people to God, from the Egyptians to Osiris, from Osiris to Amon-Ra and Amunet. It is still going back to God. Now, instead of them to now worship two kind of God, male and female, they worship just one God now, to be a monotheist nation. Now, in turn, this God now give back blessing to the people. He now give back the blessing to the people, to the work of their hand, to the field, and whatever it is that they do. Now, this is an exact copy of Egypt in those days. People give to Osiris. Osiris do what? Give to both Amon-Ra and Amuntep. And Amon-Ra and Amuntep give blessing back to Osiris, and Osiris give it back to the people. Even though this is just a deceit to keep these people rich. The only person who get rich in the old bargain, even in Egypt then, was the Osiris. Because Osiris became so vastly enriched and so wealthy from getting from this crowdfunding kind of thing. So the pharaohs are always very mighty. As a matter of fact, the pharaohs are buying their own people as slaves. They buy their land, they buy their properties, they buy. So the pharaoh becomes the lord of the land, because the properties of the people belongs to Pharaoh. And Pharaoh is going to tell you that he's giving it to Amon-Ra and Amuntep, whereas everything stays with Pharaoh, because the idea of this is the idea of Pharaoh. This God is an idea of Pharaoh. The Amon-Ra and Amuntep are both the idea of Pharaoh. So also the idea of this God is from this particular priest. So you could ask him that the rice I gave to you, how did God cook it? How did he eat it? How did it get to God? Which courier service did you use to send it to God? And you will get no answer. But they want you to keep giving, keep giving, keep giving. Do not forget that even in the Mosaic order of first fruit, these people don't give all of the farm produce that they got. All they give is the first thing that they lay their hands on in the farm. They give it to the priest do waving offering and keep some part of it for the maintenance of body. And so, person go shop now. And what they give to you back is to tell you that God has received it. So next year, bring more. And as a matter of fact, the truth of the matter is this. In the Mosaic order of first fruit, when you have a new land, the first time you pay first fruit on that land is the last time you pay first fruit of the land. The very first increase of the land, out of the very first increase, you take some part of it that you think is the best to the priest. You can see now, the rest belong to you. And you don't go back to pay first fruit on that particular farmland again till the rest of your life. So it is not a matter of bringing your first year's salary, first month's salary every year. No. Let's even say you want to do it the way these people are doing it. You got a job for the first time. According to Mosaic law, your first fruit should be your own month's salary for whatever it is that you want to give it to. If you think that your priest can get to God and help you, priests that don't want to die, but they keep saying they are sending your stuff to God. All other years on that job, you don't pay any kind of first fruit. I hope you understand now. Thank you very much. Now, let's move to the Christian order of fruit. Now, the Christians revolted. I even did this teaching passionately last year. I produced a shirt against it. That was a limitation of my knowledge as at that time. Now, the Christians said, okay, no, from the people now, the people are supposed to do this. Now, this is the old or this is the Mosaic order. Now, instead of the people giving to the priest, the Christian says, no, the priesthood has been cancelled according to Hebrews chapter 7. According to Hebrews chapter 7, verse 1 to 12 and downward. The people of Christian, these are Christian people now, they said the priesthood has been cancelled because there are no more priests even in Israel itself. Don't forget that under Mosaic law, under Mosaic kind of falsehood, there is still no priest in Israel today because there is no temple in Israel. So they are even themselves, as of current day, do not practice this first fruit or tithe, this thing. It is only you people that do this. Everybody outside of Israel follow Mosaic law to the later. But the Israelite people say some things are outdated. Some things don't work anymore. We have been paying tax. This thing doesn't make sense anymore. It was a doctrine of man, not that of God. And there is always changes to it. But we chose to be obsolete. So the Christian people say, so, okay, no more priest. So we are not giving it to priest anymore. To represent maybe some of their GOs, some of their bishops, they say no to bishops, no to priest anymore. And they say, okay, there is a new priest in town now. The new priest in town now, his name is Yeshua. And they say, this man is deserving our first fruit. As a matter of fact, we don't give our first fruit to this Yeshua. He has become our first fruit among the living and even among the dead. So when Christian people want to approach first fruit, what they do is they look, they disperse this thing, they look at Yeshua. And God is also, maybe one God in heaven is expecting first fruit from them. He also look at this Yeshua and say, okay, this is your first fruit. Yeah, this is our first fruit. Whatever you like, do to him. You have already killed him. You can kill him many times as you want. You have already killed Yeshua for us. So every single year, when you are looking for first fruit from us, just go and meet this guy. He has represented us. He has paid it all. Now that is Christian order of first fruit. A normal Christian is different from someone who is practicing Judaism. But unfortunately, in this part of the world, most Christians practice Judaism. Now, what they say is that we cannot be killing bulls and rams for our sins, even though nothing takes your sin away, as a matter of fact. Not the bull, not the ram, not the pigeon, not even this man. Whatever you sow, you reap. That's just a pure truth of life. Maybe when you begin to live with that mentality, you realize that you need to live more responsibly. So they said, okay, we are going to be Christians, but we will be performing the things of Moses. So Moses is taking tithe, let the Christians still take tithe. Moses is collecting first fruit, let the Christian keep taking first fruit. But Moses is killing fowl and pigeon and all that. We have killed this man. But this man is saying, whoever follows my teaching don't need to follow Moses anymore. So there's a lot of disparity and a lot of inconsistency in Christian world right now, where people keep running to Jesus and they keep practicing Mosaic law. When it comes to money, they love Moses. When it comes to not paying for their sin, they love Jesus. It is all a deceit, total deceit. Now that is a Christian order of falsehood. So if you are a Christian, a real Christian, practicing Christian, you are not meant to be paying first fruit because the priesthood order has been cancelled. Now your first fruit now is Yeshua. And God is also seeing you as your first fruit. Don't forget that I am not a Christian or a Muslim or Antichrist or whatever you call it. I'm a believer of God and just teaching you what your scriptures say. I was once, but I have seen the light now. It is not worth all of this. This is all a deceit. Now, we move on to African order of first fruit. What is the African order of first fruit? Now, the African order of first fruit is going back to what the Egyptian practiced. You must know that both Amun-Ra and Amunet were standing in the place of parents for Osiris. And Osiris is standing in a place of leader for the people. Now, the normal African type of firstfruit that I grew up to know, and most of the African nation practice is this. The children go to work when they are of age. The moment they are of age, they go to work. And when they go to work, the very first money they earn, the very first money they earn in their place of work, no matter how big, no matter how small, they do what? They bring it to their parents. Now, these children now are now standing like Osiris, who is having both male parent and female parent, like the order of the Egyptian. Now, in normal African society, what these children do is to bring their very first salary to their parent. Now, the parent in turn will do what? Will now bless that first fruit. Tell the child that now that you have started earning money, may money never finish in your hands. In some culture, the parent will take some part of it, return it back to the child. As a matter of fact, you can't take it all, even as a parent. Even as a parent, both mother or father, you can't take it all. When the child brings it to you, the culture demands that you give the child what the child can use to sustain him or herself for that month. Remember, the whole of it is brought to you. Now, what you do is to give to that child what can sustain the child for that month. As a matter of fact, the child, having gotten his first salary or salary, is not meant to have rented a house or be living alone. Africa, we don't push our children out at the age of 18 to go also for themselves. As a matter of fact, African parents parent you till you die. You could be 70-year-old, you could be 100-year-old, and your parent is older than you. When they heard that you are sick in Africa, they still come to take care of you as their baby. So there is no rush of moving out of your home in African society. So your parents do not expect that the very first salary is what you use to rent a house or start marrying. No. Because from the tradition and culture, you are meant to bring the first salary to your parents. So your parents will be like, okay, this mother, this one, our neighbor, our extended family, while you were growing up, they must have contributed a little bit to your life, also your growth. The day I didn't have money, I went to borrow this. The day I didn't have this, the day this one gave you water. So they will share the money among the community of family members. Okay, if it is $1 that gets to this one, if it is $2 that gets to this one, now that is what they do. And each and every one of them in turn begin to shower blessing on you as a child who knows how to take care of your elders. Now it is called filial piety. Filial piety, that's what we practice in Africa. Now, before they begin to share the money, they must start giving you the amount of money that you can use for that whole month for yourself. You see, the other money that comes belongs to you alone. It is now from your own conscience and your mind and your filial responsibility to now take part of it, if you can, to take care of your parent as a way of saying thank you for always being there for me. But the first salary is given to them. Now, when you give the first salary to them, it doesn't mean that when you now get another job, you will go and give the first salary of that other job to them. You can see the way it works now. You don't give the first salary of the next job to them. No, the very one you earn. If you are earning $1 per month today, the very first $1 belongs to your parent. Your parent give to you what you will need for the moment, and they take care of you inclusive until you have saved enough to be by yourself or get married or get out of the house. Not really by yourself. No one chases you out of the home in African society. I'm talking about Africans living in Africa. Now, it is now from your own voluntary mind, your own filial responsibility to take care of them from the rest of the money that you get. Onward. You can see now. Now, it is more blessed when you give your first salary to your parent than those who do not know you. And that's where the idea of father in the Lord, mother in the Lord came in. You can see, just to displace your biological father. Now you realize that there is no scripture you will ever read, and you will not see that honoring your father and your mother is your way to long life. It didn't say your father in the Lord. It didn't say the only promise or the only commandment with promise, either you check Korean, either you check the Egyptology scripture or whatever. Parents are like the representative of God. And that was what Orisis was trying to show you the other time by offering the fruit to Amura and Amotep. And that practice remains with us till today. And if it is your parent, you don't keep giving them the very first fruit of all your first job or whatever it is. If your first job is $1, first salary is $1 you give to them, they give you what it takes to maintain yourself. They share the rest among themselves. Some parents who are well-to-do even return all the money back to you. When you get another job, maybe after a month or after 2 years or whatever, and the first salary of that one is $1 million, you don't take it back to them. You have paid your first fruit to your parent once and for all. That is what is required in African society. Now, parents are in the place of authority to bless the children with authority. Now, here is it. Aside from the parental African order of first fruit, the most important kind of first fruit order is the spiritual order of first fruit. The spiritual order of first fruit. Now, how do you pay your first fruit? This is you right here. This is you right here. How you pay your first fruit is to constantly live a life of total submission to the source of life. All the days of your immortal life, you live it with total submission and constant consciousness to the source of life. Now, the very first duty of mankind is to submit his mortal body to immortal operation. The very first duty of mankind is to submit his mortal body to immortal operation. Now, the immortal operation or trying to become spiritual is not wanting to reach out or go and meet God. No, this is not a journey of going to heaven to go and meet God and stay with him. It is a journey of becoming divine in such a way that nothing happened in the spiritual realm that you are not aware of. But then, this body don't operate in the spiritual realm. You need to constantly submit your body, your thought pattern, your mindset, everything that you own or you've got to becoming divine. Now, you should be so soaked with divinity that when people meet you on the way, they almost have met who God is. That is your spiritual order of first fruit. Now, you can't put the first to the last and last to the first and get your life prioritized or ordered. A lot of people are living a life that is not harmonious. The way their hands are moving is different from the way their minds is working. Where they want to go is different from where they want to be. A lot of disharmony, disunity, disorganization in their life. They do not even know what it takes to take a spiritual journey while they are still here on earth. Now, the very first primary concern of you as a person, it doesn't matter if you're working or whatever, is to first give this body to the supreme being, the source of life, back as your first fruit. It is having submitted. You must have read surely in your Bible, right? You must have read surely in your Bible. I think it's in book of Romans chapter 12. It was saying that in the view of seeing or finding the mercy of the supreme being, offer your body first as a living sacrifice. Make it holy. Being holy does not mean when you don't keep some law. Being holy is being in unity with the source of life. Being in synergy with the source of life. He said, when you are in synergy with the source of life, whatever you do become acceptable. And how do you reach out to the supreme being or become one with the source of life? When you make sure that you don't give in to the immoral pleasure of this world. First, working with your mind. He said, by renewing by transformation of your mind. But your mind is disorganized. You don't even know what to do, who to listen to, the truth in its purest form. You don't know what to do to be able to attain this divine level. So when you are still finding yourself debating what is first fruit, who should I give it to, and all of those things, your spiritual order of first fruit is becoming divine, and the divine becoming who you are. See, you give your body, and you become what you give it to. You give your body, you become what you give it to. You first ensure that you become divine. When you become divine, where your first fruit goes to will not be a matter of what they told you, but what you are inspired to do with it. A woman living in Germany reached out to me earlier, said, a lot has happened to my family all through 2019, and I just want to appreciate the Supreme Being for what He has done for me. Look for someone in need. This is my thanksgiving offering to the Supreme Being. Look for someone in need and give it. Surely that woman must have been inspired, having become divine. There is nobody who become divine, and the first priority in his or her mind is not humanity. You want the best way to reach out to divinity? Touch the life of humanity. And whatever it is that you share with them, never go to a waste. No, 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 you never. So that is just the simplicity of this thing called the first fruit. But even those people who started the idea of first fruit, bring it to me and all that, they don't do it anymore. Go to Egypt today. You will never see the concept of first fruit. It will become a Muslim country where they speak Arabic. You will never see. Go to Israel today. They don't talk about these foolish things anymore. Forgive me for saying foolish. They don't argue about it. But in Africa, this is what we spend the rest of January and February talking about year in, year out. And some people say it is working for me. If it is working for you, that you give your first fruit to God, please, we want to see that God. We want to see that God. How did you get to Him? How did your first fruit get to Him? People are dying. Surely people are in the hospital bed. People are dying every day of depression, of hunger. But you say first fruit works for you, and you're creating heaven for yourself in afterlife, and you make hell of earth while you are still here. I was reached out to last night. For the people of our future generation, this will be useful for you. I was reached out to last night. A woman is going to give birth in the next 2 weeks, or maybe a week. Yeah, a week or two. She tested positive to hepatitis B, and she won't be able to breastfeed her child when she gives birth. No money to buy vaccine. They need close to 75,000 naira to buy vaccine. So one day I sat down on my bed, and I'm wondering, 75,000 naira to save the life of a boy or a child that is yet to be born, and someone all the way from Abuja need to reach out to someone in Lagos. Are there no people in Abuja who are paying millions of naira in tithe and in first fruit right now while this woman is suffering? And surely I knew that the God they serve is not a good God, because He is not teaching them how to become useful where they are right now, only giving them hope of the afterlife. Afterlife. Everything good, we say it is afterlife. We ask for love, we say God is love. When we get to heaven, we experience love. We ask for unity when I can easily live in peace with you. I say when we get to heaven, we will get peace there. We believe that in heaven there is harmony. We are not even in harmony with ourselves. So surely when you get to heaven, you will disturb the harmony. You are not used to being harmonious. There is no unity in you. It is the culture you practice here that you get to continue where you get to. So if heaven is really a peaceful place, they do not want you there. It's heaven. If heaven is a place where they give cheerfully, when they care for one another, when there is no weeping and no crying, and you can, in your heart, be still strong minded to sleep in the night, when someone right next to you is hungry and some people are living in the cold, surely heaven don't want you because you will pollute that kind of heaven. So your very form of falsehood is this: to become divine. Become divine. So our journey on this platform towards spirituality has nothing to do with wanting to meet God or sit with God or say, "Holy, holy are you, Lord," or say something that, no, that is not our journey. The destination is not for us to meet God. The purpose of spiritual journey here is to become divine. So every human being that come across us will have a feel of what heaven is. We have a feel of what God is. We have a feel of what love is. We have a feel of what peace is. We'll be in harmony with themselves. Because first, as a first fruit, we have offered ourselves to discover all that divinity have in store for us. Have in store for us. And if you are yet to get to this stage, do not forget, I told you about African order of first fruit. Children go to work, they give their first salary to their parent bless them in return, give them what it takes to maintain their life for that month, share the rest with the family. Some parents return everything back to you, and they help you to pay the debt of the family who has actually helped you so far. And you continue working and feeling okay. This is filial piety. Honor your father or your mother, sometimes with your first fruit. Do not forget, the Christian, if you don't want to do African kind of first fruit, the Christian says no more priest. We do not want priest again. What we want now is Yeshua. So when it comes to the first of every year, we look up to Yeshua. God look up to Yeshua. Yeshua is our scapegoat. He has paid for it all. He has paid for it all. And don't even ever forget that even in the Moses kind of first fruit, you realize that the people give it to priests. Priests claim they give it to God, and God bless you back in return, evidently. But they don't give everything to the priest. They just give a representative of their first fruit. Just the way they give their firstborn to the church also, or to the synagogue. They pick one and say, yeah, this is for God. And why do their God request for that? So that he will know, that child will know their law and carry it on after the father or the mother is gone. My name is Greatman Ayilara, and I hope I have blessed you with some spiritual insight and knowledge today, even though it looks more like a teaching. Tomorrow again, 8 p.m. Nigerian time, join me on this channel. If you are here to subscribe, press your subscribe button. The most important thing is to turn on the notification button for all. And if you're also going to be joining us on our YouTube channel some other time, make sure you keep to time. It's always short because today is a day of teaching. That's how you get to meet us here today like this. You might want to be part of the humanitarian works that we do. We are people, we practice what we preach. We don't just preach and allow people to figure it out. We practice first, then we come to teach what is applicable or what we have seen. You can join me on my social media at the Greatman Ayilara, at the Greatman Ayilara right away. You can go to your Facebook, type it, go to your Instagram, type at the Greatman Ayilara. And if you really want to partner with me on this particular YouTube channel to be able to bring more truth of liberation and help to discover more of spiritual journey for us to become divine instead of being a slave of men. You can also make use of these bank details to send in whatever support that you have. It is voluntary. It is not compulsory. If you are not willing to do it, fine. We will keep doing what we're doing. And my regards to your family, your work, and everything that you do. God bless you. God bless you. May the source of life keep inspiring you, and may you never go wrong in this path towards spirituality. See you again next time tomorrow. Bye for now.